Do you have a big to-do list that just isn't getting done? Are you constantly scrambling to just check off the box and get through to the next day and get through to the next task? Are you now feeling overwhelmed? Are you thinking about it and just the thought of it alone makes you feel overwhelmed? Well, in this episode, we're going to talk about homeschool overwhelm and what it does and how it can hurt us coming up. Hello everybody and welcome to the Dad Schooler YouTube channel. And in this episode we're talking about homeschool overwhelm. And honestly, from my personal experience, I just came off of being overwhelmed. Because every day you have a huge to-do list. Every day you have things that need to be accomplished. You got to go through the box, check the boxes, boom, 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 boom. You got to, and being a full-time working dad who also homeschools with his, I partner with my wife in homeschooling, so we both take on the role of teaching our children. It can get overwhelming. It can get overwhelming when you don't meet the expectations that you can have for yourself. So that is the first part, is expectations will lead to being overwhelmed. So how do you manage your expectations? I think it's important to look at it, what's real, what's not, or what's attainable and what's not attainable. And it's important to do that maybe on an hourly basis as well as a day-to-day basis, because as the day progresses you might say, you know what, I have to move that to the next day. It's not top of the list priority. So, thinking what can I do now versus what can I do later. Also, the other thing I think is flexibility. Being able to adapt when things don't go the way you plan. And this was case in point for me this last weekend. I had tons of different things I needed to get done on this Sunday. And with church, I have a coaching call, I have content here on this YouTube channel and the podcast. And we have to grocery shop, we have to do certain things. I line all these things up, and then before you know it, nothing gets done because I've been overwhelmed. Because the day gets ahead, and I think it was a lack of poor planning. It was a lack of putting too much, or asking yourself, is this feasible? I think the bottom line is we all have a certain amount that we can accomplish in a day. And so sometimes we tend to want to accomplish this amount right here. So we don't have enough to give. There's not enough fuel in the tank. We don't have the capacity. So that's why it's important to look over your schedule. Look, what is feasible, what is not? What is attainable, what is not? And shoot from there. And work towards those goals. And then that way it's going to take you from feeling overwhelmed to feeling a little more accomplished, because you are crossing things off the list. And with homeschool, we have to be flexible, because it never just works the way it's supposed to. And that's okay. That's part of homeschool. That's part of us adapting and being willing to be flexible. And so just want to encourage you in that you may have some things that you piled up that you want to accomplish in homeschool, and they won't happen, but that's okay. So one of the reasons I felt overwhelmed for me was because I was currently doing the 75 Hard Challenge. And then pairing that up with responsibilities to my family, grocery shopping, coaching program that I'm a part of, and the YouTube and podcast channels that I've started, it added up to a lot. And the factor was I didn't have enough to give. And eventually I failed. I failed in meeting some of these tactics. I failed in 75, actually had to stop because it was becoming too much for me, that I couldn't give any more to what I needed to my family. But I say this because sometimes in the failures where we can start to feel overwhelmed because we're failing ourselves, or we're failing to miss a mark. And it's not about how many times you fail, but let's say it together, it's how many times you get up. And we can take that from Rocky. It's not how many times you get hit, it's how many times you get hit and get back up. I think that's what he said. And so, know that and be okay with that. Sometimes we just got to lick our wounds and recalibrate and regroup. And that's okay. And so this video is to really just encourage you dads that, if you're constantly feeling overwhelmed, you're constantly feeling that I'm missing the mark here, I'm not doing that, well, take a step back. Recalibrate. Look what you can do. Start a list. What is bottom of the list? What is top of the list? What is priority? What is not priority? Or break it down. Break it down to little goals every day to get to where you want in your homeschool. Because sometimes we can confine our homeschool to Monday through Friday. When in fact, guess what? You have Saturday and Sunday as well. Or we can confine it to the hours between 8 and 2. Well, guess what? You also have between 2 and 8 to do your homeschool. So you have the room, you have the flexibility. It is just knowing that in your heart and in your mind and being okay with that. So I hope this video helps. I hope that when you're experiencing homeschool overwhelm, that you have an idea. There's another dad here saying, I'm going through it too, I've done it too, and you can get through your valley as well. Also, if you like this video, I'd like to encourage you to subscribe. We have videos every Thursday, and it's just to be a part of this community of dads furthering homeschooling, furthering our families, and leading and being that principal in our home. And if you'd like to connect, you can connect at thedadschooler@gmail.com. Follow me on Instagram at thedadschooler. Or if you're a podcast dad, we have a podcast, which is pretty much like this YouTube channel, but in podcast form. So you can also follow me there at the Dad Schooler on all major podcast hosting sites. Thank you. This is Gabriel Perez, the Dad Schooler, out.